Good morning, folks. How are you doing? I guess it's Black Friday. It's the Friday after Thanksgiving. Ooh, go out there and spend, spend, spend. Um, I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. I'm going to talk about something that I don't normally talk about, and that is football. Oh my God. Half my audience. Click. Downvote. I'm going to talk about football, but I'm not really talking about football. Okay? I'm talking about the press and how the press is used by corporate America to push a narrative that benefits corporate America, in spite of the fact that what they're saying is complete 100% bullshit. Obvious 100% bullshit. And I'm going to prove it to you. And this is what I'm going to prove to you. Matt Eberflus did not mismanage the end of the game yesterday playing against Detroit in Chicago. Their number one pick, Caleb Williams, shit the bed in his 2-minute drive starting at the 50-yard line. The drive started much earlier than that, but the 2-minute drive started at the 50, and Caleb Williams literally shit the bed. And it was entirely Caleb Williams' fault. Period. End of story. Now, that's the football side of it. Here's the side of it that I want to talk about. And I'll prove it to you. There's no question. I can't show you the NFL. I can't show you the game. Go watch YouTube and watch the last 2 minutes. Not that 10 seconds. You can watch that. That's also very telling, that last fucking play, the moonball play. But watch the last 2 minutes, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Everybody across the board, from Damian Woody to Shannon Sharp to Rich Eisen to all of it, and of course, I'm sure today, the first things first people, especially Nick, will be shitting all over Matt Eberflus. It's coaching malpractice. Fire him now. Wanting to fire a man with a family from his job as fast as possible before anybody takes the time to look at that last 2-minute fucking drill by Caleb Williams. What Matt Eberflus did was exactly right. But corporate media can't spin it that way. And so since ESPN, they're like the flagship of sports media. Of course, you used to have Sports Illustrated, but ESPN now dominates all of it. Where ESPN goes, everyone else must follow. And if anybody pushes back on that, then they attack them, right? ESPN's take is Matt Eberflus fucked up. That last fucking timeout when they had 32 seconds or 31 seconds after Caleb Williams took a sack, which took them out of field goal range, which he shouldn't have done because he holds the ball too long. And then took his time to get the fucking people up on the line. And then after they were on the line, took 4 more seconds to have the guy snap the ball. And then chooses not to throw the ball where he's supposed to, where the play calls for him, which will get them on the sideline and past the line where they can kick a decent field goal attempt. No. That's the call. That was the play. He's looking at the guy. The cornerback covering him is playing way back. Just to stop, he's playing prevent, just to stop him from making a touchdown. They're going to give him a chance to make a play to get to where they kick a field goal, to tie the score, to take it into overtime. Fine, we'll do that. We're not going to let you score a touchdown. So the ball is snapped after 4 seconds of him standing there with them all standing ready to go. He takes 2 steps back. He's watching the guy where the play was supposed to go. He's wide fucking open. He's standing there next to the sideline. This is the play. The ball was supposed to be already in the air by the time he turned and looked. Fuck you. I'm Caleb Williams. This whole slide started with the throw from a guy by the name of Jaden Daniels, who happens to play for the Washington Redskins, or Commanders, who also happened to be the 2nd overall pick last year. When many people back then, before Chicago made the choice, said he was the best pick. He should have been the guy. He was most ready to play in the NFL, coming straight out of college. So far, they were right. Caleb isn't going to have that. He sees that play to get to the sideline, to get the ball to him, to get him out of bounds, and then let the kicker come and send it into overtime. And then Caleb could lead them to victory. Fuck you. He looks him off. Tick, tick, tick. Coach is like, what the fuck? And throws the moon ball. He throws the moon ball. The receiver, now he's at the 10-yard line. Oh my God, what the fuck? He had a guy right behind him, right on him, to knock it down. And he had a guy between him and the end zone from Detroit, ready to clean his fucking clock when he catches that ball. He's not scoring. That's the end of the game. So what does he do? He deliberately doesn't catch the poorly thrown ball, the moon ball. It's double zeros, triple zeros, while the ball's in the air. And he's at the 10-yard line. He goes like this, whoa, and tries to draw a fucking pass interference flag. Not going to happen. Game over. And they pick up Caleb Williams, and he's like, what happened? What happened? He's mad. He didn't get his hero moment. He didn't get his hero moment. And he's mad. His job coming out there with 1 timeout in their pockets. You're like, all these people, it's mismanagement. As soon as he took the sack and got them out of field goal range, they should have taken the timeout with 32 seconds, 31 seconds, whatever it was, after Caleb was patting the ball and took a sack out of field goal range. Should have taken the timeout right then, Scott. Why? Why? What was what was Caleb doing at that point that made you think, okay, let's go with no timeouts to stop the clock if he throws the ball to someone inbounds, or even worse yet, decides to take off and run up the middle of the field like he had just done on his own, game over. And as soon as that happens, all these same people are going to be up in arms. It's mismanagement. It's malpractice, coaching malpractice. Why? He should have kept the fucking timeout so they could call a timeout there and get the field goal team on the fucking field. Nothing the coach could have done in that case would have prevented the Salem witch trials that are taking place right now for Matt Eberflus. Nothing. Why? Because Caleb Williams had the opportunity to step back 2 steps, boom! The guy was right there turning. The ball should have been in the air, catch it, and if he was tackled in bounds, they had a timeout. Everyone knows this. All of these commentators, all of them, from Eisen to fucking to all of these guys who played like Shannon Sharp and all of these fucking, and Damian Woody, every single one of them knows what Matt Eberflus did at the end of that game was the right fucking call. And if a guy gets out of bounds within field goal range, they still got a fucking timeout in their pocket. That's good. Something happens, something goes wrong. Or the guy gets up there to fucking snap the ball and there's some problem, you can call a timeout. You're not going to be moved 5 yards back and out of field goal range. What he did was right. What he did was right. Now, I say all this, and you're like, oh my God, you're blaming Caleb. That's not fair. Go back and look at the 2-minute drill. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to show you the writing. I can't show you the game because ESPN will give me a strike. The NFL will give me a strike. But I can show you play-by-play what happened. And we'll talk about exactly what happened in that 2-minute drill. Do not misunderstand me. I still think that Daniels was or should have been the number 1 pick. The smart pick would have been Daniels. However, the put butts in seats pick was Caleb Williams, which is why that's where Chicago went, which is also why they're going to fire Matt Eberflus for doing exactly what he was supposed to do because their young, inexperienced quarterback, let me put it this way. He played for USC. He was okay. They weren't great. He played for USC. He was outstanding. He was a good run-and-gun quarterback, RPO kind of guy. The problem with that is when you think you're that, and he said so. He said all this shit back in the day when they were like 4-2. He was all high on himself. He was making statements and making comments and doing fucking podcasts with people. Believing all the hype, reading his own fucking press as it was. What happened was the moment was too big for him. Because, it's one thing to be able to do what Caleb Williams can do and Daniels could do at LSU in college. It's one thing to do it to even good level college players. It's another to come to the NFL and think you'll be able. You got fucking defensive linemen who can outrun these mobile, fast quarterbacks, and they are shocked when defensive linemen, 300-pound dudes, and they are shocked when this happens. Now, that's to say nothing about the fucking safeties. That's to say nothing about the fucking linebackers. That's to say nothing about the cornerbacks. It's a different fucking game. The run and gun, call my own number after one fucking check off, it doesn't work. You have to be able to go understand the plan, which I'm sure he does, because that last play, when he stood around, waited 4 seconds before having him snap the ball, everyone's looking at him. 10, 9, 8, 7. Okay, snap. The fuck? He knew where the ball was supposed to go. He's watching it. They're not even trying to read his eyes. The cornerback was not playing up. Cornerback was playing off. His job was to tackle him, hopefully in bounds, but then to make sure that he doesn't get a touchdown. If they give up a field goal attempt, fine. They go into overtime. It's Detroit. Fine. That was his job. So Caleb, he knew what he had to do. It's not that he didn't know where the play was supposed to go. It's not that he didn't know what he was supposed to do. He did know he wasn't supposed to give up a sack from the 35-yard line of Detroit with less than a minute to go, because that would put them out of field goal range. He didn't know that, but pat the ball, bam, he gets sacked. He knew that. He didn't throw it away. He didn't hand it off to somebody because they had that timeout in the pockets. Nope. He pats the ball, takes the sack. He knew where he was supposed to go. I'm not saying he doesn't understand the game. He understands the game. He understands the game, and he understands the game outside of the game probably even better. Let me show you something. And I'm going to tell you, this is probably why he did this. Of course, I'm not in Caleb's head, but it really does seem a bit interesting. They are 4-8. Here's more of it. Eberflus' handling of the Bears' loss to Lions is a fireable finish. Fire Eberflus. Here's ESPN. Bears poor clock management. Seals Lions 11th win. Poor clock management. It wasn't poor clock management. It wasn't poor clock management. Here's the deal. Like I told you before. Jaden Daniels is the number 2 pick. Caleb Williams was the number 1 pick. A lot of people back then said Daniels was the better quarterback, or at least more ready to play to run an NFL offense than Caleb was. But still, they decided to go with it. Let me tell you about this problem. Here's part of the problem. Part of the problem, people like Nick, what's his fucking name from First Things First. This guy has this thing, he's had it for a couple of years, where he puts these quarterbacks ranking on Mahomes' mountain because he's a Mahomes fan or sycophant, whatever you want to call it. But he's always got Mahomes up on top, and then he ranks all these quarterbacks. 2 next, 3 next, 4 next, 5, the mountain. Last year, when Caleb Williams was playing for USC, Caleb Williams was on the NFL quarterback mountain, according to Nick Wright. Because Caleb was just that awesome. He was going to be that awesome. They're 4-8. And I'm going to show you Caleb's numbers in a few seconds. He's not awesome. He's not in any way, shape, or form awesome. This is the fucking hype that Caleb Williams had been reading into. He had been believing. He had been buying his own hype. He had been reading his own press reports. It was all about him. And when they were 4-2, he was giving interviews talking about that shit. They were 4-2. With wins against the Titans, shit. Panthers, shit. Jaguars, shit. And the Rams, not so much shit. Okay? But then came a game against the Commanders. And at the very end of the game, there was this Hail Mary that should have been knocked down if a guy wasn't fucking bouncing around and jeering on the crowd in D.C. from Chicago. If he'd been paying attention, doing what he's supposed to do, this wouldn't have happened. But Jaden Daniels throws this fucking ball, and it gets tipped and ends up in the hands of a Washington receiver. Touchdown. Washington wins. Washington had been winning the whole game. Chicago came from behind. They took the lead with like 50 seconds left to go or some shit. And then Jaden Daniels did what Jaden Daniels did. It was a fluke. But that fluke stuck in Caleb Williams' fucking mind. And it stuck in a lot of people's mind because they haven't won since. They went from 4-2 to 4-8. They went from everyone saying they were going to be in contention, at least for the NFC title game. And now they're 4-8. And most of them are close losses. Well, half of them are close losses. Why does that matter? Why is that interesting? Why am I talking about that? Because here's the theory of mine, at least. Again, the moment... It's not an insult to a young player, even if he came from USC, even if he had all the fucking hype in the world. It's not a fucking insult to say the moment was too big for him. And it was. This wasn't a Sunday afternoon 1 o'clock game. This was Thanksgiving fucking day. Every fucking sports facility, it wasn't even the early game. Every single sporting bar, sports bar, whatever, all these people after eating were watching that game. It was the Detroit Thanksgiving Day fucking game. They have one every year, them and the Cowboys do. There was no other football to watch. This was Caleb's fucking moment to shine. 50-yard line, 2 minutes, 2-minute drill. Here we fucking go. We just need 15 fucking yards to get that fucking field goal to send this thing into Thanksgiving Day overtime. And he didn't do it. Holding that fucking timeout, given what the coach knew, given what we all knew. He had taken 2 sacks in that drive. 2. One of them took him out of field goal range with less than a minute to go. Why would you assume, if you take a timeout now, with no way to stop the clock, that Caleb is not going to throw the ball to somebody in the middle of the field and get tackled, and then you can't even get up there and spike the ball before the goddamn 000. Or, worse yet, Caleb's not going to check out one person and then say, fuck it, hero ball time, and get stopped, and then not be able to fucking spike the ball and game over. People say, he got the ball to the 10-yard line, oh my God, but he couldn't stop the clock because you wasted the timeout. Fire Eberflus. That's what would have happened. There's no question. Let me show you something. So that's their record. That's where they are. That's who they are. Okay? Let's look at the specific game itself. Everyone's like, fire Eberflus. He sucks. Let's go to the fucking game and look at the specifics. I can't even talk. Let's look at the specifics. Let's go to the box score. Well, we can look at it right here. They were down 20-0 at the half. 20-0.
Williams with 10 seconds to go in the game. Williams with 7.
Oh, no, now I'm going to get fucking blasted. I can't do that. Sorry. I'm sorry. It was 16. I'm sorry. My bad. It was 16-0. 16-0 at the half. In the second half, the Chicago Bears outscored one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFC, if not one of the best teams in the NFL. They outscored them 20-7 in the second half. In fact, they held them scoreless in the fourth quarter, whereas they scored 13 points. Fire Matt Eberflus. He sucks. That's not easy to do, boys and girls. Detroit is a machine. Detroit is one of the best teams in the entire NFL. Fire Matt Eberflus. He sucks. Does he? Does he really? Play-by-play. Just in case you wanted to know. Let's go to that last end of game drive. Starting, by the way, at the Chicago 1. No, stop.
Marcus, you saved your far.
Shut up.
Plants are like money, Cindy.
Stop. Fucking ads. Sorry, my fault. They started at the 1. They did okay. Listen, Caleb had good numbers in this game. He did. It was just that moment. The moment where, Scott? The moment, the 2-minute warning at the 50-yard line. What happened after that? Okay, let's take the first play. Caleb, pat, sacked for 7 yards. Patting the ball, sacked for 7 yards. Back to the Chicago 43. They get the next play off. He decides he takes one look and runs for 13 yards. Well, 7 plus 10 is 17. They're 4 yards short of the first down and tackled inbounds in the middle of the fucking field. There's a timeout right before the snap by Detroit with 1:08. What does that mean? That means in 52 seconds, Caleb, running the offense, got off a total of 2 plays for 6 yards. One of which was a sack. This is a 2-minute drill. That was half of the 2 minutes. They gained 6 yards. Mr. Matt Eberflus. After the timeout, they come back. It is now 3rd and 4 at the Detroit 44, right? He bounce passes to Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen was running a crossing pattern across the middle. He would have been close to a first down. He threw a bounce pass at him. It literally landed 5 yards in front of Keenan Allen's feet as Keenan Allen was running. I think it's Keenan Allen. It was shit. Total shit. So now it's a minute and 4 seconds. Now we are at 4th and 4. A minute and 4 seconds left. That means 56 seconds gone. They still only have 6 yards, but they only have 6 yards. It's 4th and 4. Okay? At the Detroit 44. So they've got 6 yards. What happens now? They get a pass, and it's a completed pass. But what happened is he has a guy coming running across a crossing pattern. He has another guy coming this way. His guy takes the cornerback who's covering his first guy and blocks him. I mean, practically just knocks him off his feet. He goes, bam. That guy keeps running. No one's there. Caleb throws him the ball. He has to stop to catch the ball. Meaning, if his cornerback hadn't been knocked off, he would have probably stepped in front of it and caught it, and that would have been that. But instead, it's offensive pass interference. It was still a bad pass, but it was offensive pass interference, and it was legitimate offensive pass interference. So again, they got to go back. Not Caleb's fault, but you got to deal with it. So now they're at Chicago's 46. He throws a deep pass to D. Moore, and there is a bad defensive pass interference call. You can watch it. Go watch it yourself. That's all well and good. Okay? Next play. Now they got 46 seconds left. They're at the Detroit 25. That's an easy field goal to tie the game. What does Caleb Williams do? He throws a ball way over the head of D. Moore. Now it's 43 seconds left. It's 2nd and 10. They decide to call a timeout. After it takes too long to get to the fucking line, and they got to call a timeout rather than lose 5 yards. Because again, they're at the 25-yard line. So they call a timeout. Good. They still got one in the pocket. Coming out of that, Caleb Williams throws a short pass to Keenan Allen at the Detroit 13 for 12 yards. Outstanding. However, Chicago tackle Jenkins illegal use of the hands to the face, 10 yards. They go back. Now they're at the 35. They're at the 35. The 35, good God. The 35 is that line where you want to get to kick a fucking field goal. So right now, they're at the fucking 35 of Detroit. That's still a makeable field goal with 36 seconds left. They snap the ball. They got one timeout. Pat, 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 pat. Sack. Now they're at the 41-yard line. Now it's a much more difficult pass. It's a much more difficult field goal. They're like, take a timeout. Take a timeout. Why not take a timeout? Why not take a timeout? It takes Caleb Williams to the 6-second mark after being sacked at the 32-second mark to get that play off. To get that play off at 3rd and 26 from the Detroit 41. All he had to do was not take a sack, not lose yards at the 35. So this is the play. Caleb Williams, incomplete pass, deep right to Odunze. This is the fucking play. The moon ball play. And why do you have the moon ball play? Why did they have the moon ball play? They had the moon ball play because he had the shot at it. He was looking right at it. It was the right call. They had the timeout in their pocket just in case the guy gets tackled inbounds. They can still get the field goal try off. He threw the moonball play because of what happened with the Commanders to start this slide that has been eating at him and eating at him and eating at him and eating at him. In front of his home field, in front of his home squad, in front of his home fucking fans, in his home stadium, with the whole football world watching, still eating that fucking turkey, still nibbling on the fucking pumpkin pie. Everybody watching him. He looked at the guy to hit the play that was supposed to be made at the 34-yard line, maybe the 33-yard line. Let's get that fucking field goal unit out there and let's go to overtime. Nope, fuck you. He passed up on that. Guy was wide open, and he looked down the field to throw the moon ball to be the hero. And you want to fire Matt Eberflus. Where does he rank in terms of completion percentage? Where is he? 32nd. Of all the quarterbacks in the NFL, which there are 32 teams, he ranks 32nd. Jaden Daniels ranks 9th. Again, they're both rookies. And you can look at all kinds of numbers, but that's the most telling. He's I don't know why 35 is ahead of 32, but there you go. Caleb Williams. He's down there with Trevor Lawrence and Cooper Rush. Look, here's my thing. All these guys, what was he thinking? He needs to be fired. All these people calling for another person's job. When, in all honesty, this was not Matt Eberflus's fault. He did what he was supposed to do. And afterwards, when everybody was, all these people were piling on, he rightly says, what I did was right. That was the right call. We need that fucking thing in the pocket so in case a guy gets tackled at the 34-yard line, when Caleb's supposed to make that quick out pattern that to the sideline and get those yards we need for that fucking field goal, if he gets tackled in bounds, you go, oh my God, he should have had a timeout in his pocket, but he wasted it after the sack. Nothing he could have done would have prevented what's going on right now. Now, I told you all that just so I can tell you this. Here's the reason why. Because nobody's going to come next year, buy tickets for next year, because Matt Eberflus is the head coach. He's not fucking, he's not Belichick. He's not fucking Tomlin. He's not one of these fucking coaches that can put butts in the seats. Probably never will be. However, doesn't deserve to be fired for what his rookie quarterback did. However, Caleb Williams being the number one pick and all the hype, thank you, Nick Wright, and others, he will put butts in the seats. They can say, it's a new thing. We got a new coach. Oh, my God. It's wonderful. Same thing they did, by the way, with Tua Tagovailoa when they switched his coach out because his coach sucked too because he was not doing so. He wasn't living up to the hype. So it must be the coach's fault. So they got rid of the coach. They brought in this little guy with glasses who was a big fucking analytics dude, offensive-minded dude. Miami still sucks. Why? Because Tua can't play in the cold. And because, unfortunately, Tua's been hurt several times, and I think he's probably still playing with he's had a bunch of concussions. So, Calling to fire of a coach, you're talking about someone's money. You're talking about someone's job. You're talking about someone's pocket. Stay out of people's fucking pockets. Especially, don't get into someone's pocket if it's not their goddamn fault. It wasn't. Why is it so fucking hard to say about this young rookie quarterback with all this pressure on him that the moment was too big? That he decided to play hero ball rather than do what the coach and the offensive coordinator told him to do and the whole team expected him to do. I'm playing hero ball. I'm going to fucking win the thing right now with this moon ball pass to this dude, and that's going to be a great moment for me, just like it was 5 weeks ago for Jaden Daniels. At their expense, by the way. Can't have that. So, a lot of people will say to me, well, Scott, they're doing this not because of, Chicago. They want to sell tickets. They're doing this because they don't want to hurt the young man's fucking confidence. He had enough confidence to say fuck off to what the coach wanted and fuck off what the team wanted and say, I'm going for what I want. That's how much confidence he had. You should hurt that kind of confidence. You should. It's a team fucking sport. He's got to learn. You got to do what it is that just at least until, listen, they're like he's Patrick Mahomes, or he could be the next Patrick. He could be. He very well could be. He very well could be. Patrick sat behind Alex Smith for 3 years. What part don't you understand? And say what you will about Alex Smith, he was a goddamn good quarterback. And they have a better coach, obviously, than Matt Eberflus. But Matt Eberflus did not fuck that up. Unfortunately, the young man fucked it up. He fucked it up because of his ego. Because he was reading his own fucking press clippings. Because he wanted a bit of that spotlight that Daniels got 5 weeks ago. He wanted that. He wanted to be able to say that's the reason that they picked Caleb Williams over Jaden Daniels. He had the fucking right call. The coach had the timeout in his pocket in case a guy gets tackled inbounds. They can still get the fucking field goal unit out there and get the ball kicked and get that tie. They had held one of the best teams in the NFL to 0 points in the fourth quarter. Get them going into the fucking... and Caleb had led them to score 13 points in that same quarter. Yeah, play for the fucking overtime. Nope, fuck you. Hero ball. That's a lesson Caleb needs to learn. And the only place, because he always reads his press clippings and buys into the press clippings, the only place he's going to learn that shit is in the press. But no. Fuck Matt Eberflus. Fuck Matt Eberflus. Fuck his family. Fuck his fucking house. Fuck him. Fuck his career. Fuck him. We don't want to hurt the confidence of a rookie who made a mistake. And don't make any mistakes about it. Don't make any bones about it. It was Caleb Williams' mistake. He had him. He saw him. He knew the play because as soon as the fucking ball was snapped, finally, he was looking right at it. He stared him down. And the cornerback was going to give him the fucking 5-6 yards to get that fucking field goal attempt off and go into fucking overtime. Detroit felt like they could beat him in overtime. Matt Eberflus felt like because of the fourth quarter and the third quarter, they could beat him in overtime. That's where the game should have gone. That's what should have been. Fuck you. I'm going to win the game. And it didn't work out. Fire Matt Eberflus. Thank you for your time.